Hey smart people, my name is Tobi Salami. Yep, that's me. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can order your smart filter items with Query Builder. You can move things around like love to the top, relationships to the middle, whatever is your choice of ordering these items, you can do just that. You can also build some custom ordering conditions, such as to check for which archive page you are on. And as you can see on the archive page of love, love is at the top of the filter. In beauty, beauty is at the top. In relationships, this is also at the top. You can use the principles I share with you here to build pretty much anything and not just filters, because we're going to be building all of this on the Query Builder, and we're going to make it as simple as possible. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced user, this is for you. Are you ready? I'm ready too. Here are the 4 plugins we have installed and set up for this particular build. We have Elementor, which is our page builder of choice. You can decide to use Bricks Builder or Gutenberg. Any page builder that currently supports JetEngine and JetSmartFilters will work for these particular examples. We also have JetEngine installed here, and the reason for installing JetEngine is because we want to build queries with the Query Builder, and on those queries, we want to build our smart filters. And that's also why we have the smart filters installed, because we want to build our filters, of course. We also have the Jet Theme Core, which entire purpose is just to build templates for us that we can use to display our content. You don't need to install the last 2 plugins, you don't need it for this use case. There are other things I set up beforehand. If you look inside of here, this is the post CPT, and you see I have created 4 categories, 3 actually, plus the default one. And you see that they're currently connected to the posts on the site. You see there's count 2, 2, 3, and so on. So let's try to build what I showed at the beginning of this video. To build it, we want to build a query of categories, and we can come inside here to the dashboard and click on Query Builder. Once we're inside Query Builder, we want to add a new query. The query we're going to add is a simple terms query. Once we click on Add New here, we can come inside here to Query Builder and just give it a name. What name would you like to call it? Let's call it the name of our choice. Let's say this is Query of Categories. Here on the query type, we're going to select Terms Query. When we come down here to taxonomy, you want to select the taxonomy, and the taxonomy is categories, right? Once that is selected, you're pretty much done with what you have here, a simple query of terms. Now we want to come inside of Smart Filters, and we want to add a new filter. So inside of Smart Filters here, we need to give it a name. Let's say that this is a filter of categories based on query. Now for this, you can use checkbox or select field or radio field or even the visual input here, but let's make use of radio for this example. Now we're going to come down here to data source, and you can select the source, which will be Query Builder. Next, you want to come down here to select query and select the query we just created, which is the query of categories. And that's nice. Now we want to get the value and the label. Where are we going to get that from? If we come back inside of Query Builder and toggle on preview results, so you can see here term ID, name, slug, and so on for each of the terms on the site. We want to get the term ID. Copy that and come into Smart Filter and paste that as the value, because that is what is going to be evaluated and used to filter the posts. Next, we want to get the label. We're going to come back into Query Builder, and what's going to be the label? The label is what's going to show to the user on the site. What should show? The name. So we want to copy that and come back inside here to Smart Filters and paste that inside of the label field here. Now that that is done, we want to come down here to Query Variable and let this smart filter know what we're going to be filtering. And to do that, we want to come to Query Variable here and click on this icon on the right. We're going to click on Taxonomy and select the particular taxonomy, in this case, Categories. Once we're done with that, we're pretty much done with building our filter. We want to click on Update and want to come inside Elementor. Let's come to the Edit page. And of course, you can do this in Bricks Builder or Gutenberg, your choice. But now we want to add a container. We just want to click on Add and click on Container. Next, you want to add the filter we just created. This is a radio filter, and this is the name. So we're going to come inside Elementor and type radio. Now we can drag that in and select the filter we just created. It's called Filter of Categories based on query. We're going to select that. We're going to say that this is for JetEngine. You can tweak this settings to your heart's content. we're gonna tweak the style just a little bit so it's a little more visible. We can come to style here and come down here to item. When we're inside of item, we want to click on color and give it a white color, just so it's a little more visible. Once we're done with that, we want to add a listing. The listing, of course, will be a listing of posts on the site, because those are the posts that have all of the category terms attached to them. I already created a listing before I started recording this video, so I'm just going to use that here. It's a simple listing. You can, of course, find the video attached in the description for how to create a simple listing. Let's add a JetEngine listing grid here. And inside of here, we want to pick that listing grid. It's a simple listing of posts, so we're going to pick that here. As you can see, it returns just the post title inside of it. Pretty simple, right? Next, we want to give it a column number of 1, and let's just place this side by side. Select the container and set this to row. Let's just give the filters defined width by coming to custom and giving it a 30% width. And that appears to look just fine for the purpose of this video. We can come now and hit publish, and we can come to the front page and see how it now looks. It looks all right, but there are certain things we need to do. Let's come back inside of Edit with Elementor and give this a name. The query ID, a name such as listing specifications. I don't know why I called it that, but I mean, who cares? It's anything you choose to call it. Now we come here inside of the listing, come to advanced and come to CSS ID and give it that same name. Once that is done, we can come to the front end and see nothing really changes, except that now if we click on beauty, for example, it filters and shows us all the posts that have the term beauty selected. You can also click on relationships just to see it works, and you can see now we have 3 posts. And that appears to work just fine. We need to define which one comes first. We need to say, we need love to come first, or we need relationship to come first. We need it in a particular order of our choice. To do that, let's come back into the dashboard once again. And this time around, we're going to come inside of taxonomies here. The reason we're coming in here is because of the fact that what we need to edit is the posts categories taxonomy. We don't see it on this list. And the reason is that this is a taxonomy that comes built in with WordPress. If you created a taxonomy, a custom taxonomy of your choice, you'd see it here. But we want to edit the one that's here. We want to edit this categories taxonomy. To do that, we want to toggle on built in. Now you can see that you have a list of all taxonomies that come built in with WordPress or that are associated with another plugin such as Elementor, which you can see here. But our choice is this, to click on categories, which is that category taxonomy, and we're going to come down here to meta fields, and we want to add a new meta field. The reason for this is that this is the meta field on which we want to base the order of our terms. So let's just call this order of our terms. Whatever we call this doesn't really matter. You can get creative with your names. Let's come down here to field type and select here number. And here we want to give it a step value of 1 because we want them to be able to order it like 0, 1, 2, 3. We don't want 2.2 or 2.5. We just want whole numbers here. So we can give it a step value of 1. We want to come down here to description and just call it add a term order number. The higher the number, the higher its position on the list. So what we're trying to say here is that whatever we add as a number here, if we add the number 5, it's going to come before the number 2. But we're fine with what we have right now. So we're just going to click on update taxonomy. Now, if you come inside the taxonomies here to the category taxonomy, and you want to edit any of the term. If you click on edit for the term of beauty, you can come here and give it an order number of, let's say, 5. Meaning this is going to be at the very top of the list. Unless there is a bigger number, this will be at the top. Let's only give the beauty term the value of 5 for now. Let's leave all the other terms as is and just go ahead and edit our query once again. If we come back inside the query of categories we previously created, let's do a quick modification here. Let's come to meta query. Inside of meta query, we want to click on add new. And we want to grab that field key name. The field key name here, as you can see, would be order of our terms. Clicking on that copies it. We can come back inside Query Builder and just paste it inside of here. Next, we want to come to the compare field here, and we don't want to select anything else other than exists. What we're simply saying is this. look inside of this field key, and if you find a number there, that is good. So it means it doesn't need to compare this with any value. You can just leave value as empty. Let's come to type here and select numeric because it's a number, right? Now you want to give it a class name. What you add as the class name here doesn't really matter, but you need to give it a name. So let's call this here order custom for terms. Nice. Now, if you click on update query, let's come back in the front end and see what we have now. Once we refresh, we see here that we only have beauty. But why? We have 4 terms inside of here. Why do we have just one? And of course, remember that if you come inside of the categories here, you have the order of our terms, the meta field right here for you to fill, and it appears the number 0 is already there. In fact, if you edit the love term here, you would notice down here you have the number 0. So why doesn't it show in the front end? It's because of the fact that when you create a term, you add a meta field and you do not save the term again, this value here for the new meta field you just created will not be stored in the database. So you pretty much need to go through each of them and click on update. If you click on update here now and you come in the front end, you notice this particular term, which we just updated, love, now shows up. But what if you have 5,000 of these terms? You don't want to go through each of them clicking update, update, updates for each one of them because you want all of them to now register the number of the order. Here's what you can do. You can come back inside the query builder and let's add a new meta query class. Let's close this one out. And here we're going to call the same meta field key. Let's just paste that meta field key there. And now inside of the compare field here, we're just going to select not exists. So we're simply saying, if you have one that exists or you have one that doesn't exist, give us all of it. And this way you're able to query all of the terms on your site without actually going through each one of them and filling the order number manually. If you're going to be setting this up from the get-go, maybe you're creating a new site, you don't need to create the second meta query class here. But we're going to do this because we know most of us are doing this to a site we're already working on. Now let's come down here to type, and just like before, we want to select numeric. On the class name, we don't want to give it any class name. We really don't care about the second one. Now under relation, this is where it's important, and keep this in mind, you want to say or. So you're saying if this exists or it doesn't exist, I need you to show me all of it. And that will be good because now we can come and update the query. Now after refreshing, you see that you have all of the terms on the site and you don't have to go through each of them to add a specific order. Now it looks like it's working because you remember we added a number 5 here, and this is to the term beauty. And if you come to the front end, it looks like beauty is at the top here, but it's actually not working, and let's prove that. If you come back here to categories and let's edit love as an example, and we want to edit it and give it a higher order number. So we give it the number 10. We come to update and it's updated. Now if we come to the front end and we refresh that, we see that beauty is still at the top here. Why? Because of the fact that there is still one more thing to be done to your query. If you come inside of Query Builder here, you want to come to the general here, the general tab, and you want to scroll down to order by. Inside of order by, you want to select here the meta query class that you created. And as you can see, you see order by meta class here. You want to select that meta class, which is order custom for terms. Remember, we created that when we wrote it inside of here. That same class is what we select here. And we're going to say that the order is from highest to lowest. We're pretty much saying the highest number should come first before the lowest one. Once we click on update and we come to the front end and refresh this, we see that the term love comes to the top, and that's because of course it's the one with the highest number. And that's good. Now you can see how you can order your terms inside of the filters here. There is a second use case. And to demonstrate this use case, let's go to the category archives. So let's just view each of them. Let's view 2, for example. This is the beauty archive page and this is the love archive page. Let's edit those archive pages. And if we come here to Crocoblock and click on Theme Builder, we can edit the template on which these archive pages are based. The reason why we want to do this is because sometimes some people need something different to happen. They want a situation in which on each of the archive pages, the filter item that belongs to that particular archive page, for example, beauty, should be at the top. And if you come to the love archive page, we want love to be at the top of the filters. To do this, let's edit the page and just copy over what we have inside of the single page here. Now we have it here. And we can click on publish. And if we come here to the front end, we can see that now each of these archive pages have the terms and the posts showing on them. Now, if you come inside of the query builder, to make this work, you want to add a new query. Your query should simply say, get all of the terms except the one for the archive page. So this query is going to run on the archive page, and we needed to simply get all terms here inside of the categories taxonomy, except the term of the current archive page. So to do that, we want to come inside of query here and select the query type as terms query. And we're going to come down here to taxonomy and select the categories taxonomy, because of course that's what it is. And we're going to come inside of the include or exclude and select under exclude here. We want to click on this macro option here and type in queried and select queried term. Now, once we have that query created, we want to create another query. And the second query is going to query only the term on the page that we currently are on. So we're going to add a new query. And here we're going to type in query only the term on which archive we are. If I can type, and we want to come here to query type and select terms and come down here and select categories. And we want to include here by query term. So it's going to get only the term for the archive page we're on. Now we can click on add query. Now we have two queries. One query is saying, hey, give me all of the terms on the site except the term page we're on. The second one is saying, hey, give me only the term for the page we're on. And now we want to merge both of them together, because now we'll be able to order it in a very, very beautiful way. Just stick with me so you can understand how it works. If you come inside here to Query Builder, you want to call this query whatever name you want to give it. But for me, I'm going to call it merge both queries together. So this query is going to be a query type of merged query. And under here, we're going to select the query type of terms, because that's exactly what we just created two queries for. And under queries to merge, we're going to say the first one is the query to get all of the terms except the one on the archive page we're on. The second one is to get only the term on the archive page we are. So we're going to add that new query. Now, after we publish that, we want to come to Smart Filters and edit the Smart Filters we previously created. The Smart Filter will now be based on the new query we just created, the last one we created, which is the merge both queries together, because this particular query merges both queries together. Now, if you come to the front end here and just look on the archive page, you can see this is the beauty archive page. If we refresh this, you notice here that beauty is at the bottom here. And if you come to love and refresh this, you see that love is at the bottom here. But we need it to be at the top. How do we do that? If we come inside Query Builder again and look for that particular query we just created, which is the merge both queries together, notice what happens here when we move like this, the query we previously created just above this other one. And now we can hit Update Query. If we come to the front end again and look on the archive page, for the category of beauty which we created here, once we refresh this, you'd see the beauty is at the top. If you come to love and refresh this, you see that love is at the top. And this is the same filter based on the same query, and it all works dynamically like so. Now I have shown you two ways that you can create and order your filters on any WordPress page using JetSmartFilters. Just keep in mind that because we use Query Builder, you can pretty much use this to order your listings or anything else that supports the Query Builder queries. It's beautiful if you make use of it. If you have any questions about this, be sure to let us know. As always, my name is Tobi Salami, and until next time, stay dynamic.